There is an answer to some of this, and it comes in the form of Paul Shamplina. Paul, of course, is all-round good guy. Just give us your official title, Paul, for those who've never heard of you before, which is very few people, frankly.
Is it after the watershed, Ian? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, you can do it,
Okay,
yes.
yes.
Even, don't mention the Spurs connection.
No, OK, here we go. Managing Director of Landlord Action and Chief Commercial Officer of Hamilton Fraser.
There it is. And this is an area you've worked in for donkey's years, of course. You know a lot about it. You've done TV shows, certainly about landlords and tenants and the like. And, of course, the issue is, it's no longer a little side issue, is it? I mean, this is absolutely crucial. Property, renting, landlords, tenants.
And home ownership. I mean, housing, especially young people, is the biggest topic. When it comes to this election. I mean, if we look at housing under Tories for the last 14 years, it's been a shambles, if we look at it like that. I mean, there's 112,000 people now in temporary accommodation. I got those figures from Elliot Lee, who one of the guaranteed rent organisations in London. It's doubled under successive governments, Tory governments. So we've got a massive temporary accommodation crisis, and it rised 12% last year. We've got council waiting lists, Ian, of 1.3 million people waiting for a council property.
Extraordinary money.
Average waiting times, 28 years to get a council property. We had only 39,000 social properties that were affordable for rent last year. Crazy. We've got a massive problem with planning, which has been ongoing. I mean, we can talk about the manifestos for the various different parties shortly. And then if you look at, with regard to affordability of buying a property, so when Cameron came in 2010, it was 6.9 times full-time wages as a medium. Then 2023, 8.3 times. And in London, it's 12.7 times.
Wow.
So the affordability gap is getting bigger and bigger. You've got the average first-time buyer age actually came down, believe it or not. It's 33 years old.
That's interesting.
It was high. It has come down.
I mean, 20 years ago, it would have been much younger than that.
I bought my first property at 22.
There you go.
Yeah, a long time, at £40,000 in
Yeah, I think
Edgware.
I was 25 or something.
Yeah, it was a long... I mean, that's just a pipe dream for a lot of young people. And then, of course, we have spiralling rents, unaffordability. The private rental sector has taken a massive battering, as you just alluded to, and has propped up the housing industry. So we've got problems, and of course, what was it when Boris Johnson came in? He said, yes, we're going to confirm mandatory. We're going to build 300,000 properties in 2019. Didn't touch the sides at all. And then of course we have the various different manifestos whereby I saw in the paper this morning where the Lib Dems and Labour have said mandatory. We're going to build a certain amount of properties. I mean, Labour have said in their manifesto they're going to build 1.5 million new homes over 5 years, but not explaining in any detail how they're going to deliver that.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because political parties can do that. What are they... I mean, you've crunched some of the numbers then and looked at... when I say crunched the numbers, you've looked at what the manifestos are promising on things like property. And you've kind of reality checked it a bit here.
Yeah, I've reality checked.
What are they telling us?
Yeah, I mean, look, let me just run through a list if you don't mind, and then I'll just give the reality check. I mean, look, the Lib Dems have basically said they're going to crack down on second homes in rural areas. There's going to be further leasehold reform, which is not such a bad thing. There's going to be a big programme of house building, blah, 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 we all say that. A new rent-to-own programme to allow people to buy social homes over 30 years, ensure no resident pays a penny to have dangerous cladding removed. There wasn't too much detail in Lib Dems. I mean, Conservative, they maintain to do the right to buy. They're going to cap ground rent. They're going to make sure that they believe in the Renters Reform Bill, which unfortunately pulled out because it couldn't find its right of passage. And Help to Buy, which ended last year, will be reintroduced to improve mortgage guarantee. And then the Greens, what they have said is they want local authorities and developers to sign up for right homes and right place charter, introduce obviously much more greener rules and regulations. They want to build 150,000 social properties. And they want to introduce rent caps and scrap Section 21. Labour, as I said, they want to commit to EPCs, electrical performance certificates up to grade C for rental properties within 10 years. They want to abolish Section 21 from day one. I don't think they can do that, to be honest. They want to give 4-month periods for landlords that got tenants in rent arrears, which I think is a bit extreme for landlords, especially when the tenant's not paying the rent. And they want to really open up the planning laws. And then reform, they really want to reform the 106 planning laws that are in place, and they want to do a whole lot of. They want to abolish that tax called Section 24, which abolishes mortgage interest relief for landlords. But the reality check is this across all the parties, Ian, is they're all committed to the Renters Reform Bill, all bar reform, nothing on local housing rate rebalancing affordability, landlord tax changes, not an agenda accepted only for reform. This is quite important. Local rent controls could be on the agenda as part of major communities and commitment to increase devolution of powers, i.e. giving devolution of powers to local mayors and they could set rent caps.
Wow. That's
a big worry for landlords, but my own reality from someone that's been in this industry and working with landlords, you know, and in renting and in the industry for 34, 35 years, unaffordability for renting is the worst it's ever been.
Yeah.
Something's got to give. I think it's a real issue. So we wait to see.
And you've got people queuing up now. There's almost bids to try and, you know, you want to rent a property, there's 20 people there bidding against each other.
Yeah, well, Labour want to stop that, and I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
I think that's fair, but it has got out of control.
Sure.
I don't think it's as bad as it was in 2022. 2024, it's eased up a little bit, but affordability is a big issue.
OK. We're taking questions to Paul Shamplina. Lots coming through on that. We'll do one on the phones just to kick us off. This is Dave, who's down in London. Dave, what would you like to ask Paul?
Hi, Ian. It was more of a statement than a question. I am a landlord. I literally paid the mortgage off yesterday to get out of it, but I'll give it 2 months. My current tenants have got about another 3 months in there, and I think I'll give it 3 months, wait and see what Labour does, but I've got a feeling that property's going on the market in the next 3 months. So as a landlord, Paul, I mean, you must be seeing private landlords in particular just exiting the market like there's no tomorrow, and I just don't understand why people don't bring back the reform idea of having interest relief on a mortgage, which I wouldn't have now because I've just gotten rid of the mortgage, to be honest. But either way, I'm selling up, so and that'll be the second one I've sold. So, and I know the tenants in there will be pretty horrified when they know that that's coming. But there you go.
Yeah, I mean, in answer to your question, David, is we are seeing, especially the last year, we've seen a massive increase of landlords serving Section 21 notices saying, "I've had enough."
Yeah.
So you allude to, and I alluded to, obviously the Section 24, you know, what business gets taxed on turnover rather than profit? Well, the landlord business does. And that has affected a lot of landlords. The interest rates shot up, obviously, and landlords are serving notice. And then, of course, the landlord bashing and obviously the regulation that's come in. Some landlords like yourself, Dave, that might have been in the game a long time, have said it's enough. And who loses out on all of that? Yes, landlords have got to pay capital gains, but the tenant does. So, you know, David might have had a really good tenant in that property. He may not put the rent up for years, but he's decided to get out. He serves a notice on the tenant. The tenant has to leave. They've got to find another property. They might pay more rent and move out the area.
There it is.
So we're seeing a lot of that.
Dave, good luck with it all. I hope the capital gains isn't too stifling, but that's just another annoying debate we could have separately. Here's a question from Steve in Lancashire. With the continuing rise in house prices, how can a young person even get on the property ladder? I mean, you mentioned the age has gone down a bit, but it's still tricky, Paul.
I mean, I think the average, if I remember rightly, the average deposit in London, I know London is a different animal to the rest of the country, was something like £120,000 for a deposit. For a deposit.
For a deposit.
For a deposit. Yes. I mean, you know, the average property in London alone is like 650 grand. It's crazy. It really is crazy. And we've got young kids.
They're still unthinkable, those numbers.
I mean, how does a young person get on the ladder? You know, and of course you have mortgage stress testing now.
Yep.
The rates are higher, so it's really even harder. Saving up for the deposit, when you're renting, you're paying more rent than ever before. It is the bank of mum and dad, and you know, my kids are older than your kids, Ian. But you know, at the end of the day, trying to get your kids on the housing ladder is really stressful. And then of course, some people that are renting, yes, people are only transient and they move around or whatever, but some people do feel trapped.
Yeah, completely.